Hi, and welcome to Empowerment Unleashed Now, exploring your inner authority. I am transformational coach and founder of Empowerment Unleashed Now, Michelle Jones, here with my bro. Dun, da, da, da.
Scott Collins.
What's up, bro? I know that the twins, i.e., you and I, have had a little bit of Neptunitis.
Yeah, you can hear it in my voice, see it in my aura, probably.
A little bit. Got a little gray going on.
Yeah, I got a little, but I do believe it's an opportunity to upgrade the immune system, upgrade the aura. Anytime you get one of these,
It's definitely, I think, a part of this because so here we sit on December the 8th, supposedly, because time is breaking down. So it's all really just now for me sometimes, but that's what the calendar, I believe, still says, or that's what this thing says, the phone that controls my life, the electronic leash. But this week, in terms of just like our Empower Ranger, like surf report, right? Like how to navigate these energies for our listeners, because not only is it tis the season, right? I mean, like our whole title today is like the transformative secrets from Santa about how to be empowered during the holidays. I mean, like
mm,
Santa is really coming on, Scott.
I'm excited about that. I heard the
I'm,
rumor.
I'm super excited because Noah tasked with this holiday thing. And people that know me know that I'm somebody that would listen to Christmas music all year long if I had my druthers. And I'm really excited because I feel like with the holidays, in terms of energy and empowerment, so many of us are so excited to be together, but yet we're all like, holy shift, am I wiped out? Like, just I am peopling. And so I think that the energetics of this week, so we have a full moon coming up next Sunday, and I kind of want to go ahead to go backwards. I kind of want to balance out since we're going backwards to go ahead energetically with all these retrogrades. So I wanted to start out just talking about this full moon that's coming up in Gemini, which PS, just an aside, I don't know if listeners care, but Scott, it's happening at my natal Mercury
Mm.
of my birth. So it's 23 degrees and 5 minutes, this full moon. So it is sitting right on my deepest belief systems about my own spirituality.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty. That is, I didn't know that about you, Michelle. But then, since we're pausing to look at the retrogrades, also we could look at the direct planets, right? You mentioned Neptunitis. I was joking about that because I started feeling this pretty much right as Neptune was getting out of retrograde and going direct
What date did that happen, bro?
yesterday.
Just for listeners.
So yeah, yesterday, December 7th.
That's what I thought. And then Mars went retrograde December 6th.
Yes, yes, it was a little like yeah, high five they did in
Yep.
that region.
All.
Yeah. And, Neptune, for listeners that do follow astrology, has been in Pisces since 2012. And that is the sign that Neptune rules. And it's at 27 degrees right now, I believe. So, a lot of seven energy, which is also what Neptune rules. And it's in this direct, it's pretty much making its last lap until it does actually breach into Aries in March season. So yeah, you're talking all of this like holiday uh feelings and challenges for a lot of us, but personally, like I'm experiencing it planetarily more so than the holidays. I'm like, um
Yeah, but
my moon's in Pisces, which is today, by the way. Pisces is the moon's in Pisces. I think it's as we are doing this, the moon is on my natal moon. So
okay.
apologies if I'm completely in la la land.
It's interesting that you and I both have things that are directly going on within our natal charts this week. And for listeners that want to, because like one of the things that we really believe at Empowerment Unleashed now is that your star print, okay, like I want to do like a reframe on astrology. And I say this as somebody that went to divinity school. I say this as somebody that's been in very quote unquote religious circles. And then I want to say this as somebody that's also quote unquote been in a lot of spiritual circles, right? And so as a hypnotherapist, one of the things that I'll be frank, I avoided, well, I can only be Michelle, but I avoided astrology for decades, decades, because I thought it was, and pardon me, I'm just being very candid and there's no judgment here. It's just, I thought it was witchy, witchcrafty. Like I'm somebody that like grew up in major metropolitan hubs where this was talked about. I don't even know how I acquired that belief in my little head. And I would imagine that it's programming from childhood. When we don't know about those things, a lot of the times you can look to 0 to 7 when you were just this absorbent sponge. And that's what I'm guessing. And so for me, I am a beginner mind when it comes to astrology. But what I like to explain to people is this is your star. This is your quantum self. This is your map for your soul self in Earth school. So,
Right. Yeah. Similar to as like a galactic DNA stamp almost is the way I would
yes,
hate. Yeah.
yes, bro, that is a brilliant way to look at it. And so I feel like understanding that sequencing of our soul's experience and the ordering of it, if you will, in terms of our soul contract and our higher self is why knowing our star print is what I'm kind of calling it. Cause I have to come up with like new names for things sometimes, but that galactic star print, that map of you, I encourage people, don't wait until you're like 50 years old. Like, hello, over here, like to do it, like if I had done this when I was 25, woo, who would I be? But God appoints perfect time for everything, right? I'm just evaluating in this sad season, pardon, easy for me to say, like what my beliefs really have kind of been shaped towards the malleability of my beliefs. Like we're in the second decade now because it's broken up into 3 parts, starting at 0 degrees. And I really think that one of the coolest things that we're being gifted this week is access to our higher mind.
Hmm.
Okay. Because like we talked last segment that we did together, I believe, about the rulership of Sag, like of Mercury rather, and Jupiter exchanging spaces in Sag and Gemini, right? Jupiter has been sitting on Gemini, and now we have Mercury with Sag, right? And so I believe and I feel in my heart and I think in my higher mind that this is trying to marry rather than dismiss the mind and the experiences that it's had. I think that this energetic opportunity is for us to not throw out the baby with the bathwater, but to elevate to a higher mind as we are in our hearts and in our higher hearts.
Yeah, and I really do also believe it's like a galactic kiss to bring Neptune direct while this is going on because that is the connection to spirit, right? And I
Yes.
feel like right now with Moon in Pisces too, like even this weekend is like a very good opportunity with that Jupiter and Mercury, Gemini, Sagittarius situation to connect the spirit to the higher mind. You're right, the higher self, higher mind, higher heart, all of it. I
You
think that's
know,
really um, a profound thing, though. You said a little earlier. I just wanted to like shine a spotlight on you recognizing an upbringing belief system from your younger part of your life. It pertained maybe to divinity and that sort of thing, but it's skewing the possibility of some of the other esoteric arts and sciences out there. So,
Mhm.
yes, it's a great time to re-examine your belief systems because other things as well, like plant medicine, herbs, those kind of things with certain upbringings could be looked at as witchy or warlocky or whatever as well. And I just, yeah, really encourage anyone to very much re examine their belief systems and what they were brought up as and what they truly believe in their heart. It's a great opportunity right now with Neptune going direct to connect into your spirit, use your spirit to connect to your higher mind and renovate these belief systems, retrograde your belief systems, because we haven't gotten to those retrograde planets yet, but those are pulling back. Those ego driven planets are pulling back and letting us get into more spirit and higher mind.
And as we were talking, getting ready for the broadcast, when we were talking with our producer, Noah, who I can't wait for us to do a segment with Noah as our guest. Yeah, I'm going to give Noah work. So, one of the things that I think was really interesting that he had said to me, thanks for the reframe, Michelle, is that I personally feel like my body right now, I mean, like, okay, this is total first world problems. Okay. Like totally blessed beyond the beyond. But I'm going to just talk about some of the inaneness of the holidays. So when I was talking, to you guys and we were texting last night and, Scott, you were saying that you're under the weather. I could barely keep my head upright, and I feel like my body energetically is being thrown back almost like in a slingshot, right? Like it's being pushed back, like really tightening that rubber band, like, and then I feel like it's going to just go and launch me forward like a rocket. And this pullback right now, I don't know. I don't plan on going to space in this meat suit in this lifetime, but it feels like when I've seen like G-force hit the astronauts in their face, and like you see people's faces get like mushy, like, and they're like going through like a quantum portal. That's what I feel like this Neptunitis thing is.
Uh, yeah, I mean, my other advice is to trust your feelings. Just that's what it feels like for you. So, learn your star stamp, trust your feelings, and like the way it works. And I love one of my favorite astrologers, Pam Gregory. I love her analogy of looking at it like a sheet of music. And
Mhm.
especially like when you're comparing, you've got your star stamp,
Yes.
your natal print, your galactic day, and then we have whatever the star stamp of the day is, right? Like the galactic DNA of the day, like that would be today's chart. And anybody born today, of course. And that's more the collective stamp. And then the sheet of music is really how that daily star stamp is in relation to your natal is the sheet of music. And like actually for me right now, the next couple 3 months while these planets are on retrograde in a 9-degree Capricorn actually is rather agreeable. I think it's more like a 3 or 4 chord pop song sheet of music.
Sure.
For March for me, actually, I'm going to be having to play like Mozart, Miles Davis level music when I look at the combination of my sheet music and my charts. So that's where it can be a little different. So it doesn't necessarily mean everyone on Earth, well, Mars is in retrograde right now, is going to be experiencing some sort of challenges. Like if you've got a lot of Mars energy already in your chart, this actually might be really peaceful and introspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it depends. It's really usually just a renovation, a reexamination of what is uh, contrary to your usual experience.
And at astrocafe.com, you can get a free birth chart, right?
Yes, yes.
Also at Pam Gregory at her website, She actually will do a free chart and then gives you kind of a two-part, she has an installment series, two parts of it that will help you to understand your chart with everything like that you do, like in your daily life for every report and update energetically that anybody gives. It'll help to make sense of that. Also, this Scott and I both are subscribers of Serious Joy, which is, I believe right now they're offering, I think they're still doing their white light sale, $3.99 for 2 months. You will learn more about yourself than you probably really could digest in this lifetime.
Pretty accurate. Yeah.
Just, just a little plug for that
Because
because
they're great resources. I'm glad you did that because it is like, where do I begin? What do I do?
where do I start?
How?
Like somebody had
They're great resources.
right? Like if somebody had told me that, maybe I would have gotten started sooner. But I think that some of stepping into the magic in the holidays is understanding where our own magic emanates from within us,
Yes.
what our own superpowers are, to know what our own drive to be empowered, where does that come from? How does that connect to your soul? Like, how is it that you can actually spread that cheer all year? Oh, wow, rhymes a little bit. That you can actually manifest in your life every single day. That's what astrology has gifted me. And my star map tells me so much, not only about my earth experience, but also about many different things that have been in my soul's experience. So, like for Scott and I, we're going to be doing like the little Empower Ranger Surf Report, like every time. We're going to have our podcasts are going to be like an A and a B segment, if you will, so people can listen to the energetics of what's coming that week. And then the B segment will probably be dropped right around the weekends where we'll have our guest this week, Santa. Hello. I mean, that's a pretty big guest. But nonetheless, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Scott, in your infinite wisdom is if you could give us infinite wisdom. It's Sagittarius.
Yeah.
I only have knowledge. You have wisdom. One of the things that I was going to ask, I have a little bit of wisdom, not a whole lot, but it's there sometimes when I'm not acting like a 14-year-old. What can you give us that is a practical kind of roadmap just for this week, culminating with our full moon in Gemini? If you had to tell us three salient things for self-care, self-awareness, and self-love.
Yeah. That's great. So self-care this week, I would recommend as these for most of us in North America, most everywhere, this is when we most seriously experience the seasonal change, weather change, temperature changes, that kind of thing. So just be on top of it with your rest. Um, Very good nutrition, juicing, herbal teas, that kind of thing. I would say a little extra diligent on that this week with physical care. Be stay, up everything. Whatever your routine is, lean in it to it a little more this week. And if you don't have a routine, now is a great opportunity to start one. And it can
Yes.
be simple, um, it would be another program talking about trying to develop a personalized routine, but trust your gut, trust your intuition when it comes to what herbs, what supplements. One of my favorite is Shilajit. If you can only take one thing the rest of your life daily, I think that is the Ayurvedic herb I would take. Shilajit, Shilajit. I'm not promoting any specific company, but just that as an Ayurvedic daily herb to take.
And we don't offer any medical advice. We always suggest that people go and speak with their physician
Yeah.
prior to doing that. And I would suggest speak to the ultimate physician too.
Yes. Most importantly. What was the second one there, Michelle?
Self awareness.
Self awareness. Yeah. So once awareness sets in, right, everything in our life is just a response. So when it comes to self-awareness, I think during the holidays, it would be wise as we encounter family, as we encounter parties. A little extra often is the energy in the holidays season to try to be mindful and aware enough to just anything we interact to respond instead of reacting. Just sit into that difference of the definitional difference between responding and reacting.
That's where the choice is, right, bro?
Is yeah. So
Situations are going to happen at the holidays, right? Like stuff is going to burn, like ovens are going to break, like refrigerators aren't going to be cold enough. There's a choice.
yes,
Mhm.
and all sorts of things. It can even be, this time of year can be very challenging for some with heartache. When you've lost people in your
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whenever, so just like, well, even if it's with yourself, like if you're experiencing the moment of longing or grief, like just try to respond to yourself and not react in a
Mhm.
way that might be destructive. Just try to respond in a way that's more self-compassionate and caring, and think about who it is you can connect with that will be very empathetic to you. Really tap into your empathetic friends right now.
So the self-love piece you just started to touch on, bro,
Yeah.
in terms of finding those folks that elicit or exchange compassion, right? Heart space with you, like all of the things that we kind of like. Honestly, when people think of the holidays, and I can be a little bit naive, well, I can be a lot of it naive. I believe that people picture others, like being with people, being beside people, you know? And like you were talking about, there can be some grief, there can be some loneliness, that comes from that. So, one of the big things, and I'm saying this for the Gemini full moon that we're going into, stay off of social media, stay off of it. Just say, I got enough stimulation right now, unless it's bringing you joy. Like when my Neptunitis started to hit, Serious Joy had sent me a little message that essentially said, put your feet up and rest, like watch a movie. So for me, I discovered Hammy and Olivia, two corgis, and I watched like, I guess it's called binge watching. I've never done this before. And it was just about raising my vibe and getting me to laugh, right? And getting my heart to open and to raise my vibe because it brings me joy, right? Like dogs bring me joy. And so
Well,
if
don't tell me
there's
it's not
a
why. Because I mean, and bringing it to the third final thing, that might be the deepest wisdom shared yet, I think, which is checking in about what brings you joy. I mean,
yes,
especially this time of year, right? Joy to
yeah,
the world.
joy to the effing world, bro. And on that note,
But what I'm going to say that just to like reinforce that you're right
yes,
on that note. But if because as we're in Sagittarius season, really allow yourself to be brave enough to check in and be honest about that joy and what it is. And if it means less time with your family, it's okay.
amen.
Like if it means more, if it means a certain friend or
Oh,
friend, like very uh, like your joy is what matters. It's very easy to feel like you are obligated to so many things this time of year. But if you're
yeah.
like, I want to be alone, actually, I don't want to be with people this year. I want to stay by myself, or I want to go to a cabin in the woods. Honor that for your joy, but just really check in and be honest with yourself about that joy.
Yes.
That's when the joy to the effing world happens, is when we all do that.
I love that so much.
Yeah, don't
Really.
honor obligations if they don't bring you joy.
That's it, bro. I mean, that's literally keep connecting back to your own magic, your own joy, your own heart, and enjoy this flippin' holiday season and feel empowered during it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not? I mean, you cannot enjoy it. It's a choice. But it's like, yeah, man, like just be in it to win it for you. And if it means curling up like with your dogs and that's what brings you joy, more of that. If it means going into the woods, if it means being with 200 people, you've got to love you during this to tap into your magic. And even if you're not sure if you love yourself, then try to tap into your magic. What do you love most about you?
Yeah. And the retrograde energy really supports this right now. It's about going inward. So I want to that
Yes.
the planets that are in retrograde, Mercury and Mars, like really support this. And then the bigger ones going direct, support a more expansive, like committing to your joy.
Yep. Those are the actionable steps, bro.
Yeah.
Drum roll. Can you do a drum roll? No, you can't. Can you do one? Kinda. Could you pretend? Can't really hear it. Nope, got nothing. Okay. Bro.
No dice. No dice.
No dice. I put you on the spot for that one. All right. So I would like for you to introduce our next guest.
Well, if some would say he's a man that needs no introduction. The myth from the North Pole, the master from the Arctic, the most elusive fairy tale of all.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to add you to the good list.
Get to himself.
Just working on my list right now. It's shorter this year.
Uh-oh. I better work on it this time. Thanks for being with us, Santa.
Toys are heavy, you gotta work out to carry the toys and keep going, man. It's a long flight. You got to be in good shape, and I know everybody thinks I'm a fat guy, but it's
Thanks for sharing.
That's part of how he has to disguise himself. He has to put a little padding in because if everybody saw him like that, they would be coming up to him all year long.
Reindeer are not that easy to control. The toys are heavy. Most people, they've already got a fire going in the fireplace, so I have to go all the way down and go through the door. So I got to carry those toys longer. So, it just got to happen.
Thanks for that magic, Santa, because sometimes, as Scott says with the shimmer screen, we don't always get the truth.
There's the truth right there.
Yeah.
Santa is feeling empowered this year.
I had to get healthy. I was going down the wrong path. I was eating too many damn cookies, and
everybody leaves them for you.
So I asked people to start leaving steak out for me now, and it's working.
Have you gone paleo?
Not completely, but on Christmas Eve and all the way through that night, I mean, that sustained energy to keep me going, and
Got it. I didn't know if I had to get some garbanzo.
Coffee too.
Coffee. Can we leave that for you this year, Santa?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. No decaf. Don't leave that crap out.
Oh God, no. We'll get you the good beans from Costa Rica, Santa.
There we go. Exactly. See, now you're talking.
Oh, good. Okay, now I might get on the good list. Well, Santa, you're
already on the good list. You're good. It's the other list is over there. We're not going to look here.
I was on the fence, but I guess.
Well, you redeemed yourself there, so
yeah.
You're good. You're good.
really. Let's see how this interview goes, and then Santa will make his final determination.
Let's find out.
I can only imagine how busy your schedule is this time of year, Santa. So thanks.
I get the elves. I've outsourced all this stuff. Just fly around.
I help you at all, Santa, with anything these days?
Pardon me, say it again.
Does artificial intelligence help you at all with anything these days, Santa?
Oh, no. Just Art the elf. He's the only art I've got around. I think it's running the show right now. So I like said, I've outsourced a lot of things. Someone's gone to the Philippines and some gone to the Middle East.
Did you say ill or elf?
We need to bring manufacturing back to America, Santa. That's one of on my
But if
list.
I bring it back to America, then I'm out of the North Pole, but I know I'm about to be tariffed to death, so it's probably going to happen. But whatever. The elves are probably going to go on strike later. So they're going to be a little upset because they're not going to have all the toys to make because somebody in Iowa's going to be doing it.
Oh, hey. Well, you know what? Then there's
It's
other.
a changing world.
It is a changing world, and in this changing world, transformation. It's kind of work that you do with your elves. Like you guys were always upgrading.
They were all angry little sad elves. They had problems before they started working for me, and I brought them all in and created this elf union out of elves that were really trying to get better all the time.
Really?
Well, elfy community, if you will.
Wow. So, like, what drove them to want to get better?
That's a good question. I think they were just miserable little elves. They realized their life could be better. They weren't making toys. They weren't happy. So I taught them how they could serve the world.
Service.
Use part is just being of service, and of course brought them in and gave them some tools and some skills they could use too. So they've got a job now too. That helps.
So they have a purpose.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do non-elves like find purpose during this magical season, Santa?
Well, what's important to you? Or do you know? What are your highest values? What drives you? Are you living through your highest values? Are you taking action based on those values? If you're not, then is your life really what you want it to be?
What are some of your values, Santa? Give us examples.
Well, obviously health. That's at the top of my list because if I'm not healthy, I can't help anybody else. So, but within that, it's physical and spiritual health. It's all of it combined. It is being of service and doing what I can to make the world a better place. If you'd asked me 4 years ago, the guy I used to be before I became Santa Claus and this thing grew out like this crazy stuff. My primary value was freedom.
Right.
Put me on my motorcycle, give me my laptop. I'm going to go work where I want to. Happy guy, or the sleigh. Sleigh, that's what I meant. My Harley sleigh. It's loud, so I don't take it out on Christmas. It's too going to wake people up. You have a Harley sleigh land on your roof, you're probably going to wake up.
I even ask it to be quiet in my driveway because I don't want to wake neighbors. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is a noisy sleigh. But also, a few years ago, lost my father, and during that time, family became more of the higher value over freedom. I didn't take a cross country or round the world trip. I mean, just to take one. It was more focused on staying on point with what needed to be happening at that moment, and also realizing then that my health was uber important in all of that, because if I wasn't taking care of me, I couldn't take care of the people I love. That's why I'm taking care of myself now, because I love taking care of the kids and dropping off toys, and it just makes me happy. So if I'm not healthy, how can I show up for them?
That's exactly right. And, one of the things, Santa, that I'm encouraging listeners to do is to make their own Santa list. And traditionally, we made Santa lists telling Santa what we want, like the toys, right? Okay, you can have that list. But I also think that Santa, because you like transformed yourself, right? Like you were just,
You see me? Have you seen the pictures?
I know. And so one of the things that I think that you were just talking about, Santa, was how freedom was your highest value. that shifted,
Way up there. Yeah.
right? It was way up there,
I outsource this stuff to the elves.
right? And it shifted though for you to health and to family,
Yeah.
right? And so like you were able to tap in to a place within you to transform that. And I'm just encouraging listeners to make their Santa list of what it is they want to transform from their values within themselves. That Santa list.
First, you have to figure out what those values are. People think they have 20 or 30 values that drive them, and that's insane.
That's right. It's usually
It's like trying to look through a telescope with 20 lenses and making a choice from that. You're not going to focus in on anything. Figure out what is most important to you. And I even take my clients through a values hierarchy exercise that helps them weigh one against the other and make sure that those values are even in the right place, first off. And then what in that is the most important, because you're going to end up, if you really break it down, there's probably 3 big things that really drive the choices that you make and the behaviors that you have.
Yes.
So if you get down to that handful of values, it's just like, again, looking through a telescope, 3 lenses, you're locked in. You can see exactly what you need to do. And the choice that you make next is easier. So, so I would encourage your listeners to figure out, what the hell do you want? What makes you happy? What's going to make your life worthwhile? What's going to make this part of your journey successful for you in the way that you want it to be? And then reevaluate that in a year. This time of year, I think it's important to step back and really evaluate every year what your values are.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I would add in that is that when I go through any kind of values elicitation with clients, I also ask them about, what does your heart feel? You know, what are you experiencing in your body? What's your mind telling you? What are you hearing? Like, so they can actually have the experience fully integrated into their being. Because literally, like you just said, Santa, you can only hold a handful of those uber important values. You know,
don't get me wrong, the other ones are still important.
Of course.
But are they the things, number one, that you're living through?
Through.
Are those the lenses that you're seeing your world through, or is it the clear ones? And these others can help kind of focus in more on specific things as you're going.
And I think that part of the Santa list, the transformational list, heart energy right now and higher mind energy is really the new currency. So for Scott and I doing this Empowerment Unleashed now, we talk a lot about the collective energies that are going on right now. And there has been a significant shift around spirituality, our own spirituality, tapping into who we are. It used to be that people were religious, right? There are still a lot of people that are religious, but there's a heck of a lot of people now that are spiritual as well. And spirituality would be up there on one of my values that's a non-negotiable. You know, like one of my highest values is my spirituality, you know, my health, my spirituality, and freedom for me. Those are 3 that are very, very significant. But when listeners are kind of figuring out what it is in that exterior, right, noise of the holidays that's going on, Scott and I were just talking, Santa, about people being able to go inwards this season. And I just wanted to ask Santa how you've helped clients and elves get into their heart space so they actually can begin to flesh out their purpose and their values. What are some things that you suggest people do to get in their heart space?
Well, sit and be quiet, first off. Meditate. Just be still. And I'm not a fan of going in with an intention in meditation. I prefer to go in and just pay attention. So I don't go in and do, specific breathing exercises and things like that. I just become the observer of myself. And it tells me more about myself than going in with some expectation of something I'm going to gain from it. I just listen. I sit. I be still. I pay attention. I observe from a separate perspective. So I'm seeing Santa out here and going, okay, Santa's experiencing these things, and are these things real, or do they matter to who I am right now, or is this just a story that I'm stepping into and telling myself? Because we all get stuck in one of us. And those stories can be good, they can be bad, they can be expanding, they can be limiting, they can be the thing that feeds the actions that we take without even being aware of it. And recognizing the stories that we're telling ourselves are so important because a lot of times we're hiding behind those stories and they're not really empowering people to be who they can be and step into what the possibilities are that they have for themselves. So first, sit and be still. Just listen. Just pay attention to yourself. Observe yourself. Don't be in yourself. Just observe yourself. Notice who that person is that you've become. And also and step back and again realize what your values are. What is important to you at this point in your life? Because too many people are still living through choices and values and stories that they had when they were 20 years old and they're 50 now. And those stories don't mean the same thing. You know, I saw some friends of mine not too long ago that I hadn't seen in 400 years because it was, high school. And that's about how old I am. You can tell by the beard.
Yeah.
But these people were still living as if they were the same people I knew in high school. They were still living through the same kind of values. They limited themselves. Some of them had actually peaked in high school. And it's really sad that they didn't step back and recognize how amazing they were and what they could do with the power that they created then and really use that as fuel for themselves.
Mhm. So their limiting beliefs kind of just pass that. Yeah.
They blinded them. Say again, Mr. Robot?
So beyond values, then how important is it to realize you almost alluded to it, your worth? Just to put a spotlight on what you said a little bit earlier too about how important it is for you to become the best version of yourself, so that you can show up for the rest of Earth. Honestly, not even just what's around you. So, like tapping into your worth. How can our values help that? How can defining your values help you recognize your worth? Help you recognize your value?
Well, I think that first off, nobody's ever going to fully recognize their worth because everybody is so amazing
Wow.
that they will never fully even step into their full potential because even as they're stepping into potential, that potential expands. So it really is. And I think our value and our worth in the world is as well as we step further into that worth can expand if we're coming from the right place.
Our limitless.
I believe,
Yeah.
yeah.
I do too.
But the problem is it's the stories, beliefs that constrict
Mhm.
those experiences for people.
Yeah.
The people I was talking about a few minutes ago didn't recognize their own worth. And when they became part of the world, they didn't step into what they could have created for themselves because they didn't understand that worth was so much more than what they had then.
Did most of them just choose to stay in the North Pole? Like they're still living where they grew up?
It's a great place. What are you talking about? North Pole's awesome. We're talking about the South Pole here. Everybody wants to be in the North Pole.
I know, Santa. I hope I don't change the list for that one. Sorry. Oh, that Santa question. Scott, take over the questioning.
But no, it's really a matter of stepping back and again looking at your life and where you are, and are you where you want to be first and foremost, and what is it that you want to create for yourself that you're not right now? Looking at the possibilities of what you can do. And if you don't recognize the possibilities that you have and the worth that you have, go find somebody to do something for them. Go out into the world and find somebody to help. Go give them your time. Go give them your energy. Go carry toys, right? Go do whatever it is that you need to do to step out of yourself and recognize the potential you have to affect the world around you. And you'll start to understand more about your worth. Because if you're always stuck inside, then you'll never understand your worth or even the possibilities of that worth. So be of service. Do something good for the world. Share knowledge that you have, just like you're doing here. Go out and even carry somebody's grocery to their car.
Yes.
Go rake somebody's leaves today.
It's beautiful.
Go shovel somebody's driveway. Not right now. You can come out to the North Pole though. It's got 6 inches this morning. But what is it that you can do to get out of yourself so you're not selfish and really step out into the world to do something good for people?
I love those suggestions, Santa, because none of those things cost money.
Nothing.
Like carrying somebody's groceries, sometimes I do that just so I stay on the good list, Santa. When I see people traveling that have, their rollies and they're elderly and they have to pop them up, into the overhead bin. And it's really hard for some people to do that. I'll always say, "May I help you, ma'am?"
Always ask.
Yeah. May I help you?
Assume, because that may be their workout for the day too.
Right. No, but those are things like helping somebody with groceries, just basic acts of kindness.
Just simple stuff. I was in my hometown a few years ago, and it was about 95 degrees outside. I'm driving down the road, and
You were in the North Pole.
not at the time. Not at the time. No, I was back at a different. Yeah, I was. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway,
Okay.
I was the one mowing her yard, and I decided that I didn't like the idea of that, so I stopped and asked her if I could finish mowing her yard, and she said, "No, son, this is my exercise for the day," which was amazing. I loved it for her. But it's just stepping out of yourself and going, "Hey, is there something I can do for you?" They may not accept the help, but it's worth offering the help. And if you step beyond that and do something that really is out of the way that most people wouldn't normally do, then you've brightened their day. You've given them something that nobody else would give them. You can find a sense of satisfaction from that. And if you want to be selfish, fantastic. Feel amazing because you just helped somebody else.
Yeah.
So, Santa, I have a question that a little bit bridges some physics and psychology.
Don't get too crazy. I just added you to the list.
I don't want you to feel like you have to give away any of your secrets, but you definitely evidently have learned to be somewhat of a master of time and quantum physics by your ability to circle the earth, within a 24-hour period, which we know is illusionary. We know time is, but you've learned to like warp time and do things that would seemingly supposedly need to take days, weeks, months, years to do within really brief periods of time.
Yes.
So are there any examples that you can share, like on a smaller level, where you've witnessed any of your elves or any of your clients experience quantum shifts within themselves? Like what seems like a daunting task that might take weeks or months to discover your self-worth. Tell me about those times when it happens, like in a blink of an eye, and there's no going back. Like when you warp time and physics to your benefit, your self-empowerment and your self-worth.
I can't speak from personal experience, but I can tell you about my friend Steve, who's a hypnotist, and the work that he does is exactly on point with what you're talking about.
Yeah, what people feel like it can happen. I can have Santa's power. I can do this, and I can do this in one session, in one day. So I want to change my worth and value in my belief systems.
I had that experience with Santa's friend Steve. I had it. So I can attest to it.
Why, he's always on the good list.
Steve is?
I mean, have you seen the guy?
Yeah.
I mean,
How does he do it, Santa?
uh, he's he's at the top of the good list here, you know. And how could he not be? Have you seen the guy?
Guy, and he helps a lot of people. Wow, okay. I think I'll have to reach out to him and ask some of his secrets as well, Santa. But one of the things that, well, I do know for me, if I had a Michelle list, not as powerful as the Santa list, more powerful though than a Mr. Robot list, why does your like dialogue box say Mr. Robot, Scott?
I don't know, but I'm not unhappy about it. If there's one TV program I would ever promote for anyone to ever watch, it would be that one.
And that would be, afterwards. But to get to the
Elliot. Mr. Robot fans, you know what's up. Call me out.
I know what you're talking about. There's not a lot to do over here in the North Pole. Got to watch some TV on occasion, you know.
reality,
So the random shit.
the quantum ship,
I'm like Santa in one night. How the miracle? How do we do that?
2 hours. How you do it. And I'm going to let Santa jump in because I think he knows Steve better than I do, because apparently Steve's at the top of Santa's list all the time. But what happened was, and I discussed this when we had Steve on as a guest, I had an extraordinarily traumatic event. And when I entered Steve's office, I couldn't walk. I had 5 friends walk me in and literally sit outside like little duckies in a row to help because they were ready to walk me out. In 90 minutes, maybe 120 max, I went from being completely shut down. I'm talking about shut the fluff down. Shut down. And Steve has said that I was in the worst shape of any client that he had ever seen before. Quantum time happened with the questions that he asked me, beginning with one of the most powerful ones, which was, what can I do for you today, right now? That is where quantum begins, is now.
Yes.
And I walked out. That's all that there is.
That's it.
Santa, if I wasn't able to see Steve and I was like just by myself.
He works on Zoom. It's okay. You can see him anywhere.
But I was sitting alone on Christmas Eve and wanted to initiate some quantum change within myself. What question could I ask myself?
What do you want? What do you desire?
Right on.
Because if you don't have a direction, you're never going to move anywhere. If you're always running from the thing that you don't want, you're never running into something. And the only time that in your life that you really should be wandering around is if you're on a Harley sleigh, right? Just out, touring around and having fun. But life is not really like that. You need to have some direction. And if you don't know where you're going, then how are you going to get there? And quite often you might ask people, what do you want in your life? And most of the time they're going to tell you everything that they don't want. Or they may begin moving in a right direction. And very quickly, they're talking about all the stuff that isn't happening anymore. I know with Steve clients, he's helped, thousands of people quit smoking. And a lot of times the questions he asks is, what do you really want? They're like, well, I don't want to smoke anymore, and I don't want to smell like this, and I don't want to feel like this, and I don't want to get cancer, and I don't want these things, and I don't want that, and I don't want this, and I don't want that, and I'm not going to feel like this, and those things aren't going to be happening, and I'm not going to be shunned by the world, and I'm going to be out sitting outside by myself. But all those things are rearview mirror.
Mm-hmm.
They're not future. There's not a direction to move in from that. If I ask you where you're going to go on vacation, you're like, well, I'm not going to be home. Well, obviously. Where are you going? What are you going to do when you get there? With whom are you going to spend your time? How are you going to invest that experience in your life that's going to make you happier in the end? And if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? So make some choices tonight of what you want. Make some decisions and take one step, one step in that direction. That can be a quantum leap.
Yeah.
What do you want now?
Yes.
But not just now, but what do you want in the future too? Because you need to have some direction to head in.
Yeah.
You know, center yourself in the moment. And what is it that you want to be experiencing now? But also decide, what do you want for the next year? What do you want for the next week? What do you want for the next day?
It's argued that if you experience it in the now, in the moment, visually, emotionally, with breath, without breath, with meditation, without it, then you're going to experience it.
I recommend it with breath. It's much more sustainable at that point. Uh,
Yeah.
Definitely with breath, because otherwise you're not even on one of these lists. But yeah, and the thing is, if you can experience it in the moment, then you are experiencing it neurologically, and from that you're creating energy that's expanding out into the world. You're releasing new chemicals in your body that you haven't been experiencing because you've been focused on everything you don't want. You know, why
What
not?
does that feel like when you release new chemicals in your body for listeners? Like, so they can recognize, oh, I'm changing something inside of me. You can feel it, right?
Take 10 slow, deep breaths here in a moment, and you'll know.
Yes.
You about six good breaths into that, and if you'll breathe solidly through your nose, you'll also increase your nitric oxide, which I highly recommend because it helps. It's a vasodilator, so it helps expand your vascular system. So you're getting more flow through your body, which is always a good thing. But about 6 breaths into that 10, you're going to get a really good hit of dopamine, and you're going to start to feel really good. And you're getting hits of dopamine all day long anyway, because most of the people who are on the naughty list are sitting here staring at these things all day. It's not really serving them any real good purpose, except giving them dopamine hits. Every time you get a like on your Facebook post, you get a hit of dopamine. It feels good. You can become addicted to it, and you go back to it over and over and over and over. And then you forget to notice everything else that isn't that. And then all of a sudden you've constricted your life.
Mm.
So, find some things that make you happy. So start to put your attention on the things that make you feel good. Find gratitude in your life. The things that really do bring you some joy or have brought you joy in your life, and connect to it here and now, and make some decisions about what you want for the future and take one step towards that. Just one.
I would also add in, Santa, that there's forgiveness in that gratitude plus forgiveness, because it's ultimately for the individual that feels that they've been wronged, that's who forgiveness is for, is to actually heal that person. And it's exactly right. I mean, so I would add in forgiveness, and I think that there's a lot of self-forgiveness that's kind of going around right now, because there are many of us that feel at this season we're not enough. We don't have enough resources. We haven't planned well enough. We haven't da-da-da-da-da. We don't have this. We don't have that. We don't. And it's not enough.
At one point, I didn't have any elves. I was doing all this by myself. I was broke trying to figure it all out. You got to find things that make you happy in the moment.
Yes.
And then go out and help somebody feel a little happier too. And who knows, they might become a part of your tribe, and next thing you know, you got an extra elf in the community.
Yes.
And you can build your community around that.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing you know, they're working for you. You're building toys. You're delivering toys. Stay off my turf, though.
Ooh, Santa.
Hey, it's a hard gig to get.
It's your purpose. Yeah, you had to grow into it. You're not giving it up so easily. I gotcha. I get it. You're ready.
Tough luck too. I mean, it's oh yeah.
I get it. What's Mrs. Claus doing, Santa?
I have no idea. I'm out in the shop right now, so she's in the house doing something else, probably hanging out with the dog.
Ah, that would be what she wants to do. I get it. That's what I would want to do if I was Mrs. Claus.
Or something like that, She used to make me cookies, but I had to cut that out.
Well, you've gone paleo. So Santa, I really appreciate. Do you have any other questions for Santa, Scott?
Be careful. You're on the good list right now.
Yeah, no, I'm going to stop while I'm ahead.
You're going to quit while you're ahead?
Yeah.
I was thinking about everyone loves Santa.
I mean,
Everyone loves Santa. And apparently everyone loves Steve, according to Santa, because he's at the top of his list. So
what's so wrong about the guy?
I'm going to give.
I have one question, but I'm afraid it's going to put me on the other list.
Oh, no, don't do it, bro. Stop.
Is it worth the call?
Yeah, I don't know.
Holes as heavy as toys. It doesn't matter to me. It's the same thing. So,
Do you and Krampus stay in touch?
we had coffee yesterday. I mean, it's,
Shit, okay, right on. That's what I like to hear. It's the Aquarian age.
you know, it's it's still good to have a network of people, whether you like them or not. You know, just to know what's going on the other side too. So,
Yes.
Giddy up. Oh my God. Santa, deep bow. Thank you so much for taking time in this busy season to help all of us to be able to tap into our own empowerment and unleash more of that good stuff that we all need to be having like flowing through us and putting out there if we want to. If not, just keep it in. It's okay. But we needed you today, Santa, because the magic, the belief, the dream, all the hopes, the purpose. I mean, I've never in all my years heard anyone ever say that they hate Santa. And so, like, the magic.
well, there's that great guy, the Grinch. You know, we had an issue for a while. Yeah, he's come around. He's come around.
I think he has come around. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
I mean, even that Mr. Heat Miser, like they all come around. So
He had coffee with us yesterday too. He was with Krampus.
see, this is the whole thing is that the Aquarian age, we have to be like Santa. We have to be able to bring those together that might not otherwise come together in community for purpose that's shared to create meaning and just to leave this place a little bit better and a little bit more magical than we found it. Random acts of kindness, of love.
You want one tip to get on the good list?
Yeah.
Instantly. Don't
Yeah.
have today. Go help
Absolutely,
somebody.
Santa. Yep.
Just do something good.
He's so
Realize how good it feels, and you'll want to do it again tomorrow. I wish I could deliver toys every night. Not really. It's a lot of work, but you know, you get the idea.
Yes, we do get the
I'm on
idea.
it too.
Wow. Santa, we hope that you've enjoyed this time with us. We appreciate you sharing space with us. We hope that we'll be able to get you on next year. I know that you're super busy, but I think that this is a really important transformative time where a lot of adults tap into magic that they really don't acknowledge the rest of the year. And so thank you for coming and igniting some of our excitement and magic this season and our empowerment.
Thanks for inviting me in.
Thank you.